What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. So I feel like this past week was one of those weeks where it was a lot going on, but nothing really going on. Right? You don't know when it feel like it's a lot going on, but when you really think back, you be like, man, there wasn't nothing going on. Or nothing of extreme significance, I'll say that. So for the sake of this episode, yes, there's some things we're talking about and some of them are important for particular reasons. It's just going to be a bunch of updates, highlights about what's going on in Black news. We're going to get into it and then move on to the next topic. Okay. So first, last week we talked about Monique and or it was last week or the week before that. I don't remember which one specifically, but we talked about Monique in Club Shay Shay at one point. Possibly even, I don't know if I even talked about the situation with her son, where after the Club Shay Shay interview, her son takes to social media to talk about his perspective about what is going on in their relationship. They are estranged. It sounds like allegedly, because listen, hey, y'all ain't about to get me. Okay, y'all not about to get me. Allegedly, Monique wasn't very active or interested, per his words, in raising him. Or I will say she did not raise him the same way she's raising her other children that she has by her current husband. He took to social media to air out his grievances and to tell his side of the story. Him, Monique's husband, they all had back and forth throughout the week about who said what, who did what, perspective side of the story. Most recently, y'all know Monique is on tour with Cat Williams. During her stand-up and during her set, there was a moment that went viral because people was recording, even though y'all not supposed to be recording people at comedy shows. Let me say this first. Regardless of them getting the footage and what she said was right or whatever, stop pulling out your phone when people on stage. People be mad when Kevin Hart and them be having you lock up your phones, but it's because you on stage talking, whether it's a real show, open mic or not, we working stuff out. The jokes are always a work in progress. Whether you feel like what Monique was talking about in that moment was a joke or not, whether it was funny or not, people stop pulling out your phone. Like people working stuff out. But I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. I'm saying that to say she got caught basically saying F you to her son and everything that he was talking about. She said there was this old lady came up to her at the airport, said she saw it on TikTok or social media and said F your son. And Monique was like, yeah, F that N-word. And I'm not going to say the word because we on Black News. And for this segment, I ain't going to be doing too much cussing right now. Okay. But it's just all around messy. So if you are interested in that particular topic, I implore you to look at all the videos. I didn't watch all of the videos, the back and forth between the son and Monique and her husband, just because, again, I can't do too much drama like that. It be giving me anxiety. It is very triggering. I can't do too much drama. I can listen to the first couple minutes of the drama. Then I got to shut it off. I also learned about myself. I be so uncomfortable when it's like an awkward moment or when it's like about to be a cringe moment. I be so uncomfortable, whether it's for me or other people. It's just so hard for me to watch uncomfortable moments. So I literally sometimes can't watch. But if you are interested in that, feel free to watch. I will say though, personally, and I don't know if it's people saying it's a generational thing, but it seems difficult for some people to acknowledge when they have not been the best parents, the best fathers, the best mothers. And in my personal opinion, if there is a relationship between a parent and the child feels like they were wrong at some point, as the parent, because you never stop parenting your child, even though parenting changes as people get older and grow, there should be some self-awareness, in my opinion, and acknowledgement from the parental perspective about the shortcomings and the damage you have done to your kids. That's just whether however you handle that or express that, that's up to each individual person and each family. But the same would apply in a friendship, and it should be no different from my perspective again in a parental relationship. If I had a friend and my friend told me that they felt like I did them wrong in some way and I hurt them, it will be my duty as a friend to acknowledge what that person is saying, apologize, and ask them, what can I do to make this better or to right this wrong, or to for us to readjust and get back on the same foot. If you would do that with the friend, you would do that with the child. So that's all I'm going to say in this one, because again, I haven't listened to all of the videos in full just because I'm just not going to. I just can't. But do with that what you will. Again, if you're interested in that, take a look, because it's minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes of content and conversation. But if you have been a part of that, what are your thoughts? Hit me up. Let me know what your perspective is. Do you feel like Monique is right? Do you feel like the son is wrong? Do you still feel the same way after hearing this update or this most recent audio from her versus how you feel right after the Club Shay Shay interview? Because some people feel differently. Let me know. You can find me on social media at Canelia. Another quick update of something that happened. Y'all, Usher got married right after the Super Bowl. Congratulations to Usher and his longtime girlfriend, Jennifer. I can't pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to even attempt to butcher that woman's name. They have been together for quite some time. They have, I believe, 2 children together. Y'all know Usher got the sons, the older sons. And now he has the 2 small children with his now wife. But they got married right after the Super Bowl on February 11th. Now, first of all, this is a testament to Usher being the king of R&B. Because at the age of 45 and having rehearsed, after coming off of a 2-year run in Las Vegas, flying back and forth to Atlanta, to Vegas, and to all over the country, the world, doing other things in addition to having that residency, to maintaining physical fitness, his vocal ability, still be dancing his ass off, got a skincare routine. Okay, the brother has a tight skincare regimen. Doing all this, rehearsing for months for the Super Bowl. At one point, he said he cut out sugar and some carbs and all that stuff, so he was starving himself. To perform full out at Super Bowl and then that night have a wedding. Listen, king of R&B, because everybody wouldn't be able to do it. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I started going back to the gym recently, and I am dealing with certain health challenges that are limiting the type of physical fitness that I can do. That's what happens when you get old. Okay. You can't just jump into the gym. You can't just pick up the 50-pound kettlebell. Okay. But having my own and being close to age of Usher, close in age, that is, I was on the treadmill. I did a brisk walk incline for maybe an hour. Child was worn out. Couldn't even sleep at night. Okay. Uncomfortable. I had to do a 10-minute stretch first thing in the morning because of how uncomfortable I was in the bed after I did the 1-hour walk on the treadmill. So the fact that this brother had a whole wedding after he then performed the Super Bowl, kudos to you. On top of loving his life and celebrating this milestone, and Usher, y'all know Usher loved him some relationship. I think this may be his 3rd marriage or 2nd. Who knows? Who cares? That don't even matter. What matters is the brother's got stamina. So kudos to Usher for getting married. Incredible news, and hopefully, we see more from him. He's going on tour. I'm gonna try to get me some tickets, and I hope y'all do the same, because we have to support the king of R&B. Did y'all hear about Usher? Do y'all be about to pass out with your own physical activity? And could y'all have gotten or had a full-on wedding after performing at the Super Bowl? Hit me up and let me know your thoughts. You know where I am. I'm at Canelia on social media. So one thing that has been ongoing, and in this case, it is Black news related because of the person involved in this particular situation or case. Y'all's former president, old swollen face, is a part of or being charged with multiple things across the country. One most notably in Georgia, is being charged with trying to steal votes or buy votes or bribe votes or however you want to phrase it to overthrow the 2020 presidential election. I'm not going to read the specific charges because by now we have all been updated. We are all abreast on what's going on. But specifically in regards to this case, the district attorney in Fulton County is a Black woman named Fani Willis. Fani Willis is also the same district attorney, and I brought this up months ago, that is responsible for bringing the case against Young Thug and them for the RICO charge. That is a Fani Willis case as well. The recent developments have been Fani is now being looked at and looked into, and I don't want to call it investigating because she's not charged. She ain't been subpoenaed and all of these things, because they are claiming that the relationship that she had with one of the other attorneys associated with the case is somebody that she had a romantic relationship with. They're also insinuating that the money that he was being paid was being spent on Fani and like trips and all of these things. They're basically trying to point to this relationship as a means to throw out the case. So this past week, Fani, that her alleged lover, even Fani's dad was a part of this case, and the former governor of Georgia. They had everybody take the stand. So a lot of different moments went viral in this. One particular subject point or discussion topic was around who is Fani, right? And it is difficult to rise through the ranks of the legal system. At one point, Fani was a judge, and to become the district attorney of Fulton County, that is a huge feat, especially for a Black woman. So before this, a lot of people did not know who Fani was. They never heard her speak. They didn't have a background. But there were a lot of amazing moments from her testimony that basically says, you ain't about to F with me. I know who I am, and I know my ish. So some major takeaways. One, they kept asking Fani about trips that she took with her alleged partner or former partner, how it was paid for, and a lot of discussion about cash came up. It sounded like they were trying to nail Fani and whoever into saying that money that was paid from the city, the county, or whoever was used to pay for these trips. But Fani, at many points in time, talked about giving that man large sums of cash to pay for these trips. $2,500 at one point, $1,000. They were asking her about where these large sums of cash came from. Did she have receipts from the bank? Did she take large withdrawals? She was saying, no, I have cash in my house. They were insinuating like, oh, you just have large sums of cash in your house, the attorneys. To one point where the topic went into how Fani's father, who she kept referring to as this elderly man, she was like, when you meet my father, you'll see what I'm talking about. He always taught me to keep cash in my house. You're supposed to have up to 6 months of cash in your house because you never know what's going to happen. If you go out on a date with somebody, you should always have at least $200 and so you can do what you want in case something goes down. She kept referring to her father. To the point where everybody was like, who's her daddy? I personally knew or heard that her daddy was an attorney. That's how she got into law. She used to go to the courthouse with her father on the weekends to watch him in court. But we didn't know who Fani daddy is until Fani daddy got on the stand. So let's talk about Fani's daddy. And when I look at this family, in this particular, I don't know who Fani's mother is because they didn't even get into that. But this, to me, this is an example of Black excellence in raising your kids and being a force in your field and standing in who you are and teaching your kids to do that. We learned Fani Daddy, yes, he is an attorney, but he is an attorney that has tried cases all over the United States and internationally. He was one of the attorneys that was a part of the Rwandan genocide case. He was one of the attorneys that was a part of the case in regards to Nelson Mandela. He is internationally known. He is respected in the field. He is from LA, South Central Los Angeles, UCLA grad, had taken classes at one point or did some fellowship or something at Harvard. This man, when we talk about like those Black people in fields who be out here doing the work without the fanfare, that's Fani Daddy, okay? John C. Floyd III. So immediately after everybody found this out, it seemed like there was this moment where, as a collective on social media, everybody was like, "Oh shoot, look, here comes Fani's daddy. Here comes Fani's daddy." Because the basis of the case, it's pretty much, if you want to, we like using the word, if we want to use it, it's a witch hunt. So Fani's daddy, who knows the law, who is on the side of his daughter, who at one point lived with his daughter, was there when she was forced to move out of her house because of the death threats and the things that were happening because she was trying this case. Fani Daddy refused to leave the house because, old Black Daddy, he ain't leaving the house, okay? He ain't leaving. He has been a part of this, all of this, seen all of this in the area of law and Black people. So y'all probably already know his stance and his feelings about what's going on in this particular case that she is trying. His daughter is leading. But one moment that went viral that I want to just quickly discuss, because this was one of them Black family moments that we be having every now and then. And it was also a good discussion point that brought in other cultures, i.e. different immigrant families, about how there are two different worlds and two different Americas as to where one set of people know this and live this way, and the other set of people have no clue and never heard. And to them, this is foreign information. This in particular, I want to play this for y'all.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning. Correct. Good morning, Council.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Oh, no. No. See, maybe, excuse me, and Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a Black thing, okay? I was trained, and most Black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash. And I trained. You always keep some cash, because I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin, for example, I took a fellowship at Harvard when my daughter was just if I might, Your Honor, when I was just, she was just, maybe 3 years old. And I remember going to a restaurant in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I had a American Express credit card and maybe a Visa or whatever. And I had a lot of what they call traveler's checks. I don't even know if they still have traveler's checks, but traveler's checks. And there was a sign said, with the credit card. For whatever reasons, the man would not take my American Express credit card. So I pulled out my Visa card, and he wouldn't take my Visa card. So then I pulled out my traveler's checks. He said, "We don't take checks." Now, these were traveler's checks. This was money. I had a $10 bill. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And he said, the bill for my wife at the time, Fani's mother, Fani, and myself was like $9.95, and I had a $10 bill. That was all that. I always remember that. But even before that, I've always kept cash. And I've told my daughter, you keep 6 months worth of cash always. For example, I had 3 safes in my house. I put some of my clients' stuff there too, things I didn't want other lawyers to be, because you're always in a firm, and I knew that there were special conditions. So some of my clients' things I would bring home, put them in the safe. But I've always kept safes. And as a matter of fact, I gave my daughter her first cash box and told her always keep some cash.
So is that a yes?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Now let's talk about it. There is a history of Black people in this country. There is a deep-seated history around cash and money and Black people and savings. You hear a lot of older Black people and Black people now not trusting banks. There has been passed down legacy in different families and information about don't put your money in the bank, keep your money in the house, blah, blah, blah. Fani Daddy in many different ways in this statement. One, he served the purpose of the court case because it gave credibility to what Fani was saying this whole time and them questioning her about why she had all this cash and kind of trying to discredit this idea that she would keep large sums of cash. He did that by validating what he, the father, the parental figure, told his daughter. Two, he did that by providing an example of why that was relevant information to tell his daughter. And he backed it with credibility by throwing that Harvard piece up in there. Did y'all peep that? Peep game. He threw that in there to add a little extra something on it to justify it and to give it credibility. But what it also did is started a conversation or reignited a conversation about culture in America, because what I saw on social media, a lot of immigrant families, in addition to Black families and Black people, validated this as something that was passed down generation to generation. And while my parents didn't particularly say to me personally, can you keep this amount of money in cash in your house? This has been something, a legacy within Black families for generations. We always hear about when somebody, grandma, grandpa, uncle died, people in the family die, when they clean out the house, they be finding cash and money all over the house, hidden in different places. Small bills, big bills, buried out front, in the floorboards, in the couch cushions, all over. That is something that is generationally a part of the Black story. A lot of people don't even know where that came from. Of course, it's a distrust in banks, right? For immigrants, a lot of it is because when they came over here, whatever they had. In some cases, maybe they couldn't get access to banks. Maybe they didn't trust banks for whatever reason because they were immigrants. So a lot of it was passed down legacy from them because of those reasons. But for Black people in particular, I want to bring attention to it. And y'all may know this because y'all know we read and research. We just into history, and we are into the reasons why we are the way we are. But one, y'all got to remember, Black women couldn't get bank accounts. Women in general couldn't have bank accounts until the 1970s without having a signature or sign off from their husbands or a male. So in some cases, women, Black women in this conversation, we ain't had nowhere else to keep the money. You got to keep the money in the house, or you put it in the man's bank account. But that was the only place it had to be in the house because we couldn't put it nowhere else. We just didn't have the access, or legally we weren't allowed to keep our stuff in banks. But I also want to point out the Freedmen's Savings Bank and what happened to our people's money in the late 1800s after enslavement. So y'all know, after enslavement, the Freedmen's Bureau was created. It was a means to provide resources to people who were just released from enslavement. It served many purposes, right? It provided a form of like welfare and assistance to people. It also was a means for Black people to track down family members. At one point, they recorded as many Black people's history information as they could, gather that in case or in the instance that somebody was looking for them. Because y'all know, people were displaced. People's families got sold, shipped off, torn apart. We didn't know who was who and where they were. So that was one way for people to be able to track down their family members. But also within that, the Freedmen's Savings Bank was created as a way for Black people to start to save their money. At one point, when it would start to go on the decline, because the Freedmen's Bureau overall also was targeted by poor white people because they were jealous and upset that formerly enslaved Black people were being provided support. So through complaints and just protests and just general madness, the Freedmen's Bureau was shut down, mainly in part because of that reason. But simultaneously, the bank started to fail. They even brought Frederick Douglass in as a way to boost and manage the bank in order to save it. But, and I'm reading this because I don't want to get it incorrect. The bank failed in 1874, weighed down by speculative loans issued by the bank's white officials throughout its existence. When the bank failed, every dime that was in that bank of Black people's money was not paid back. They did not get their money back. When the bank failed, that was it. What? No, oh, we're going to give you your money back. Now, mind you, some people probably only had $5, $10, however many dollars in that bank. And back then, that wasn't 25. We're talking about $5 now. That was not the equivalent of $5 then. But imagine not having a dime, not having the opportunity to work. When you do have the opportunity to work, you're encouraged to put your money in this new bank for Black people as a way to get interest or to save your money, because that's what Americans do. You scrape and put together all you can and you put it in this bank. You ain't got nothing else to your name, but you know I got this money in the bank. And one day the bank closes. You go to get your money back and they tell you, no, you literally have nothing else to your name. You probably don't even have shoes. Let's keep it a buck. But now also your money is gone. Can I get my money back? Nope. Beat it. I don't know about y'all, but if I were in 1874 and every dime I can get my hands on after I was released from bondage, made it through with the scars from whips on my back, having been brutalized, tortured, raped, seeing my family and friends murdered, torn away from me, and now I lost all of the money in a bank because white bank officials issued loans that tanked the bank. Now I'm in this situation. You better believe from now, in eternity, I'm going to tell my kids, my neighbors, my cousins, my kids, anybody that will listen, not to trust the bank. You better believe that I am going to have and make sure from generation to generation, I pass down the information to never put your money in a bank. So yes, when grandma and grandpa, pop and auntie and uncle and them die, and y'all be going through and opening up all them drawers and them cabinets and pulling up the floorboards, and y'all find a $20 bill here, $100 here, $5 here, $2 there, $40 here. Y'all dig up in the back. Y'all open up that jar in the backyard. Y'all dig it up. It's $600 there. Yeah, it's because they're probably traumatized or not necessarily sure why they're traumatized into not putting their money in banks. Because in a lot of instances, traditions are passed down from generation to generation, and it's been passed down so much, we don't even know the explanation why we're doing this. We're just doing it. Same way I read the story about scalp greasing. I read a story about scalp greasing where how now we grease our scalp, and yes, certain oils can be used for hair growth and stimulation and so and so. But I read, and I don't know how completely accurate this is, but I do, knowing what we know about climate and enslavement and hard work and where people were and digging up and chopping down trees of lands that have never been tended to in that way. The legacy that I heard is the reason why Black people first started greasing their scalps wasn't for nourishment. It was to protect their scalps from all of the bugs and the elements that they were being put in contact with when they were in said new lands doing this hard work. Because to protect your scalp from being bit by mosquitoes, ticks, spiders, and bugs, put oil all and grease all over it, so that the bugs that you were in contact with on a daily basis would not be able to penetrate into your scalp. That's just what I heard. But now we grease our scalp because that's what Black people do. So I say all that to say, yes, this case is a farce. And yes, there are a lot of moments that don't necessarily relate to Black news. But in this particular instance, I feel like as a community, this did start a good conversation about Blackness, Black history, Black legacy, Black teachings, and also how that relates to other people's experiences and passed down legacy and information. Have y'all been watching? Have y'all seen this particular clip? And what are your particular thoughts about it? Also, are there some legacies or things that have been passed down that you can think of that relate back to the Black experience, or some things that have happened to us as a people along the way? Hit me up and let me know your thoughts. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. Okay, last thing I want to quickly highlight, because it's been going viral, and y'all know sometimes we like to talk about what's Black on the internet. You see, there is on TikTok, and I have not, full disclosure, I have not listened to all of these videos, but apparently on TikTok, there is a particular story by a woman named Reesa, Teesa, I believe that's her name. And the subject of the segment that she's talking about is, who the F did I married? There are apparently over 50 videos, some of them long. I watched one of them. That thing was about 10, 12 minutes long, of her telling a story about how she was married to a person, found out he was a pathological liar, and everything that she knew about him and he told her was completely false. There is ignoring of red flags. There is lying about his job. He said former family members were deceased. He said he was the VP at his company. Come to find out, he was a temp forklift operator. Literally, everybody is tapped into this story. So I'm just flagging it for y'all, because to stay in the know, you got to know what everybody's talking about, especially if it's a good story and it's going to be entertaining. It's unfortunate for her. Sound like she learned her lesson, but this thing got people locked in. So I'm going to, at some point, finish all of the story. A part of the reason why I couldn't get through a lot of it, because like I said earlier, I can't do a lot of, my anxiety be acting up. I don't like to listen to a lot of drama. Now, I've been purging myself of the drama. So I'm going to try to get through it for the sake of getting through it, but also because I really think this is going to turn into one of those stories that went viral. Like, remember, I think it was Zoe. Remember that story about the girl that went viral on Twitter years ago? They ended up making a movie about this, where the girl was like a stripper or something and ended up on this wild night with this random white girl in Florida or somewhere. It was a crazy story. But again, I'm keeping my eye on this particular one because I feel like the same thing gonna happen, because sis got her a book or a Lifetime movie or a theater movie out of this particular situation. It's crazy. So I'm going to listen to it, and I want y'all, if that's your thing, if you like story time and whatnot, take a listen and we can talk about it offline and kiki about the overall situation. but it sounds like it's a story about having discernment. It's a cautionary tale for single women who are looking for love to not be too anxious and to stop ignoring red flags and to just arm people with information about what could happen if you don't keep your head on a swivel. Okay. If you've already heard it, let me know your thoughts about it. We can kiki it up, but hit me up because I'm going to be listening and we can, and I'm going to be able to do the same. Y'all know where to find me to discuss. You can find me on social media at Cornelia. On this week's episode, we gave a quick update of the situation with Monique. There has been new audio release that continues on from the stories and the conversations that we've had over the past few weeks. We also talked about Fani Willis, her testimony in regards to the case involving y'all ex-president trying to steal an election. But the bigger discussion is about Black people and keeping cash in their houses and the legacy around that. We also gave a quick update on Usher being married. Congrats to him. And also what's going on in regards to being Black on the internet. Hit me up and let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none. And I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.